Okay, so today I wanted to talk about tips for prioritizing your to-do list. But before we get into that topic, I wanted to share my frugal tip of the week because like I always do, whenever I have a Monday topic episode that's not a frugal topic, I try and include at least a frugal tip of the week to keep some aspect of frugality in every episode. So this week's frugal tip of the week, I've shared this before, but it was a while ago, so I thought it was worth repeating. The tip is to consider purchasing bulk birthday cards that can be used for a variety of people and age ranges, like generic type cards. I purchased on Amazon a while back, probably like a year ago or so, a box of 40 birthday cards for $14. So that's basically like 35 cents a card. And they're really cute. And the box that I got was every single card is different. So because a while before that I had purchased a box of a similar type, just generic birthday cards with really cute designs, and they were blank inside, so you could just write to the person whatever message you wanted to write. But it was like, say, 10 of each type or whatever, something like that, 5 or 10 of each type. So when the time would come for me to give someone a birthday card, and like I had already given them a card last year, I couldn't remember like what card I gave them, and I didn't want to give them the same card again, because you tend to see something, you're like, oh, this is cute for that person, and then when the next year comes you might think the same thing and then give them the same card. So the new pack that I had more recently got was where it was 40 cards and every single card was different from the other. So you could always go and just pick any card that you think would be cute for someone and not have to worry that you're giving them the same card. And they're just great to have because I always have a birthday card on hand. If I need to like mail a card to a relative or something real quick, I could just go grab one, and they're so inexpensive compared to buying a birthday card in the store. Even if you're buying the 99 cents ones, these are only 35 cents a card. So that's my frugal tip of the week, if that might be something that interests you. So okay, let's start talking about tips for prioritizing our to-do list. So the reason that we need to prioritize our to-do list in the first place is because we have such busy lives, and our to-do list can become an overwhelming source of stress. You look at that list, and especially if you're the type of person like me who tends to write everything down on my to-do list, because I'm always like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. Oh yeah, I gotta do that. And you just write everything down because you don't want to forget. But it can become overwhelming. And it's unfortunate because the reason that we need to keep a to-do list is to relieve stress by having everything written down in one organized place, so that you can kind of feel freedom from having to remember everything and thinking you might forget something. So it's like you have this method of getting those things out of your mind by putting them all down. But then when you get this enormous to-do list and you don't really know what to work on first, it can definitely become stressful. And it can sometimes cause you to procrastinate, because sometimes it just seems like there's just way too much to do on the list and you don't even know where to begin. So it's important to really look at the list and figure out what's the most important things that you need to do. So before you even start to think about really prioritizing your list, you just want to read through it once first. Like just read through everything that's on the list. And then think about, is there anything on the list that can be removed? Is there something on there that was relevant before, but maybe something has changed and it's not relevant anymore? Maybe there's something on there that you're just never going to do because it's not really important to you. Maybe it's something that you feel like should be important, so you put it on the list, but whenever you see it, you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that today, and I'm not going to do that tomorrow, and maybe you're never going to do it because it's not something that's really important to you, and it's never going to supersede the importance of the other items on your list. So if that's the case, just take it off your list. If it becomes important to you, you'll get it done and you can add it back to your list at that time. But you want to try and shorten your list to the things that are really what you want to make sure that you get done, and get rid of those other things that that you're just never going to do. So first, you just want to kind of take a really good look through what's on your list. And then once you do that, as you begin to prioritize, what you want to do is create, well, one tip that I can share is to take your to-do list, and as you go through and prioritize it, create a separate list just for today. Because if you can pull out a handful of items from that big to-do list and just write them on a simple list for today, it looks so much less overwhelming to see, like, okay, I only have to focus on these 3 or 4 things today and not look at this other big list as you're going through, because you're still going to wind up seeing those other items. Even though you know you're not focusing on them today, it can still be distracting by looking at that big list and knowing that, okay, I'm only getting like a handful of these things done and I still have all the other things to do. If you can just isolate yourself a separate list of what you're focusing on today, as you check each thing off, you're going to see that you're making progress, and it'll just help keep you focused. Also, don't spend all day prioritizing your list. You know, sometimes you can get carried away with sitting down and thinking of the timing and thinking of what you need to get done and how you're going to get it done. And, you know, as important as it is to think through, you don't want to spend too much time making decisions. You want to look at the list, you want to make decisions, know what your top priorities for today, and then create that list for today. Taking too much time to review and thinking about your to-do list is going to take away time from getting the actual work done. So just sit down, look at your list, make your decisions, and then get right to work. What you want to do when you're looking at your list and trying to prioritize, like, what do I need to get done today? What things do I really want to focus on? You really want to think about urgent tasks first and then important tasks next. Like, urgent and important combined, if something's got to be important and urgent, that's like your top priority. Those are things that like must be done today. Maybe it's getting a bill paid that's going to be late if you don't get it out the door today. Maybe it's picking up a gift for a party that you're going to tomorrow. Maybe it's returning an important phone call. It's anything that you're going to have unwanted consequences if you don't make sure you get it done today. Those are urgent and important. So those are going to be your top priorities. You have to get those done. Once those are done, the next thing that you want to be focusing on your to-do list are things that are important, but they're not yet urgent. That is ideally where you want to always be on your to-do list. You want to focus on things that are important before they become urgent. That's like ideal. That doesn't always happen, of course. Things become urgent because we just run out of time to get things done. But ideally, you want to get to the point where the most of the things on your to-do list are important, but not yet urgent. So like an example of this to kind of describe something that would be important but not yet urgent. It's kind of like shopping for the holidays over the course of time and then being well prepared by the time the holidays get here, versus waiting until the last minute and then having to run out and be like, oh my gosh, I have 2 days left, I got to get all this stuff, and you're running around going crazy trying to get it done. You don't want to get to that point with your to-do list. You want to try and focus on those things while they're important, but before they become urgent and important and they become like this mad rush to get them done. So things that become urgent can end up taking up your day and not allowing you to work on items that are important but not yet urgent. So that's why you want to really try and get working on those things before they turn into an emergency. And you know, when you're looking at your list, when you're looking at your to-do list also, and you're picking like, what are your tasks that you're going to work on today? What are your priorities? What's really urgent? What's important? Don't fall victim to doing all of the easy check-off items and not getting time for your urgent and important tasks done, to get your urgent and important tasks done. Because as good as it feels to check things off the list, if you focus on the stuff that's easy but it's not urgent and important, you're going to be left with all your true priorities on your list at the end of the day. So as tempting as it can be to say like, oh, I can do that real quick, I can do that real quick, I can do that real quick, and just checking things off, but they're all things that didn't really matter too much. You're really just kind of taking up time that you could be using for other priorities. So sometimes what I like to do is at the end of the day, when I've gotten my main priorities done, I'll go back and look for some of those easy check off items and see if I could just like bang out a few of them, just because it does feel good to check off some extra things. But those really should be saved for the end of the day when your energy is kind of worn out, you really tackled the important things, and then maybe you just want to go back and hit a few easy items and get those off the list. Also, when you're prioritizing your list, you want to be realistic. Consider how long each task will really take, and don't take on more than you can possibly do in one day. Make sure you don't forget to consider time for breaks, for preparing and eating meals, and other interruptions that might come up during the day. Like, don't plot out every single second of your day to be working, because it's just not going to happen, and you'll get burnt out anyway. So be realistic about what items you can truly consider to get done in the course of one day, and make sure that your list does not exceed that amount of items. If you need to help you, one way of making sure you're managing that time properly and really considering how many things you can truly get done is to use time blocks. And I think I have a separate episode from a while ago on time blocking. But with the time block, what you do is you basically just kind of take like time blocks of the day. Like maybe you take a piece of paper and you plot out like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and then maybe 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock or whatever time blocks you want. And you say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to work on this task. And then from this time to this time, I'm going to work on this task. And it kind of really visually lets you see the day, so that if you know about how long something's going to take you and you put it in a time slot, and then you consider, like I said, meals, other interruptions, things like that, and you plot out for those also, you can see how much you can actually fit in a day, and you're not going to put 26 hours worth of work on a time block, because you can see how those hours actually lay out in the day. So that's one way to kind of be realistic and lay out based on the time that it's going to take to do something, how much you can actually get done in a day. And then as you're working on these items, like once you've kind of identified what items that you're going to be focusing on your to-do list, make sure that you remind yourself to only focus on one thing at a time. Even though you have, say, identified 3 important things for today, well, one of those has to be the top priority. So pick that item and focus only on that item. You can only focus on one thing at a time. And that's just the reality. Like, there's no way you can truly devote your attention and really focus on more than one thing at a time. So as much as you feel like there might be competing priorities, you have to really just choose one and work on it until it's done. Because if you let those other things get in the back of your mind, they can really distract you, and they'll make it take longer to get the first thing done. So if you can really try and remind yourself that as much as those other things are bothering you because you're not getting them done because you're working on this other priority that you're getting done now, you have to just really remind yourself that you can only do one thing at a time, and once this is done, then you're going to move to the next thing on your list. And if something is really truly bothering you, that you're working on this item now, but that other thing really needs to get done, maybe just take a minute and think if you need to reprioritize. Maybe you didn't pick the top priority. Maybe that other item truly is the top priority. But whatever you choose and decide is truly your top priority, you really have to try and just focus on that and get it done as best as you can and as quickly as you can, so that then you can move on to those other items on your list. And then one other tip is that, again, once you've had your list identified, you want to complete the task that you want to do least first. if that's possible. That's if your priorities are kind of like equally weighted. If you have something that's really urgent that needs to be done right away and it's something that you don't mind doing, you still do it. But if you have like, say, 3 priorities and they're kind of equally weighted, get done the one first that you least want to do, because that is just going to make you feel so much better with getting everything else done. You'll feel good that you don't have to think about it anymore, and then you'll enjoy getting the rest of the work done because you've already gotten that thing that was bothering you that you really didn't want to have to deal with out of the way. So it's always a good idea to get that thing done that is the least the thing that you least are looking forward to getting done. Just get it out of the way first, as long as its priority weight makes sense to do that. So that's it for today. I hope this helped you. I hope you can get some things done on your to-do list and make some priorities and tackle some of those things to get them out of the way so that new things can come in their place like they always do. If you'd like to reach out to me for anything, episode feedback or topic suggestions, anything like that, you can reach me at facebook.com/Lola's Frugal Life. We also have a private listeners group I'd love to have you join. You can reach me there at facebook.com/group/Lola's Frugal Life to submit a request to join. I check it pretty much every day, so you'll get admitted quickly. Don't forget to subscribe to the show if this is something you enjoy. And also, if you would be nice enough to leave me a 5-star rating, it's supposed to really help with getting the show to be found by other listeners who might be interested. So I really, really appreciate that. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a really awesome day.